What's the pluses and minuses of calling the insurance company and saying I've got a water damage?
Well, what we encourage people to do is, they have called us, and after we get all their pertinent information, we ask them flat out, have you notified your insurance company? Some say yes, some say no. And we encourage people not to contact their insurance company yet, so that we can come out and take a look at the damage and see, how close we can stay to their deductible. 99% of the people of our customers, their homeowners insurance deductible is $1,000.
Welcome to the Carolina Senior Talk Podcast, your trusted source for all things related to senior living in the Carolinas. In each episode, we'll guide you through the best locations, offer advice on buying a home, and share tips on relocating within this beautiful region. Whether you're exploring new senior communities, considering a move, or looking to invest in your current dream home, we've got you covered. So sit back, relax, and get ready to discover everything you need to know about senior living in the Carolinas. Well, hello, folks. Welcome to episode number 2, the Carolina Senior Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Edwards, with Welcome Home Properties. Been a realtor for over 22 years, serving the Lake Norman, Greater Charlotte region, helping people buy, sell, and invest in real estate. But I also have a couple designations that are relevant to this podcast. One is a SRES designation, which means that I'm a senior real estate specialist, but I also have what's called a CAPS designation, which is a certified agent in place. Now, why is that relevant? Because I like to focus on serving seniors. A lot of my clients, a lot of my happiness, personal happiness comes from helping them with their circumstance as it may relate to real estate. But not every solution is to sell your home, and that's where the agent in place certification comes into play. And that begins to transition into our next topic, which is the topic that we're going to discuss today. And that is, let's talk about the issues that are relevant to owning a home, the day-to-day issues, and more specifically, the solutions to those issues. And toward that end, there's a topic that is the title of our podcast, which is water damage and dealing successfully with the insurance companies for a solution to that issue. We have 2 guests here, Mr. John Alexander, who is the owner of Stop Restoration in Huntersville, North Carolina. And with him is Dave Abrahamse, who is the production manager for Stop Restoration. A little bit about their backgrounds. John and I have known each other for several years at this point. He comes from somewhere out west, Midwest, somewhere in that region, a land of corn and tornadoes and, something like that. You want to elaborate on that, John?
Yes. Thank you for having us, Dave. Yes, I come from the Midwest, was born in Missouri, raised about half my childhood there, and then the last half of my childhood in Iowa. And when I was in the Air Force, I got transferred to Offutt Air Force Base, which is just right outside of Omaha, Nebraska. So I spent many, many years in the Great Plains. So, yep, you're right, Dave. A lot of corn, a lot of flat land, but a lot of good people.
Yes, absolutely. Married now your wife is going to be watching this, so you got to answer these questions carefully. You've been married for how many years?
36, will be 37th next week on the 11th.
2 children?
Yes, sir.
And how many grandchildren?
2. Liam
Ages?
Patrick and Harper Kate.
Awesome. Congratulations on that. I know you worked hard on that one.
Yes, sir.
So you like good movies, you like good restaurants, you like books out of historical reference. We share that in common. There's a couple things we do not share in common. I have a lot of respect for my niece, and I like them to be fully intact, not skinned. So you like motorcycling. And
Yes.
I also have an aversion to drowning, and you like scuba diving.
Yes.
Two of your hobbies.
Yes, they are. And scuba diving, not so much anymore, but definitely getting on the motorcycle with my wife and just going out and checking out the beautiful state of North Carolina.
That does sound like fun. And you did serve in the Air Force. How many years?
I did 6 years.
6 years. Well, thank you, my friend, for your service.
My honor.
Dave, Now you come from even further west, so far west that the only thing beyond that is water, I guess, right? Uh,
Yep, pretty much. And
Oak
Hawaii.
Harbor, Washington, right?
Correct.
All right, so a little less humidity or a little less rain out there, or how's it compared to the Carolinas?
Less humidity. Rain, it might be pretty equal, although we don't get the torrential downpours out that way like we do here.
Yeah,
It's more of a steady, slow rain
yeah.
as opposed to here in North Carolina where we get dumped on.
Been married how many years? Answer carefully.
11, almost 12. In
There we
October, it
go.
will be 12 years.
And you are the provider of the two grandchildren. Am I correct?
Yes, I am.
Awesome, awesome. Very good. And you also served in the Marine Corps, yes?
I did 4 years.
And my understanding is you had a couple tours in Afghanistan?
I did. I had 2 combat tours to Afghanistan. The first one was in a small town of Garmser, and the second one was a larger town called Marja.
Yes. Well, once again, thank you for the risk that you took and the service that you provided. Appreciate that greatly. All right, so let's talk about restoration business. How in the world, John, did you ever go from what you were doing before, which you were working for a major health provider, okay, doing what?
I was the radiology systems administrator, and I was responsible for all things X-ray, ultrasound, CT, EMG, a plethora of of the imaging modalities, and also state, federal, and local compliance with those. So, yep, did that for just about 30 years.
And then how did you transition over to restoration, for goodness sakes?
Well, I've always had a life of service, in the Air Force, in healthcare. And I had just gotten to the point where I was like, you know what, I need a change. So resigned and, took a little time off and realized I was getting bored out of my gourd. So I needed to do something. And I've always liked doing, little projects around the house and things like that. So I took a battery of aptitude test and restoration came back as one of them. And I was
That's
like, well, hot dog. So kind of dabbled in it a little bit throughout my life, but, never tried to earn a living from it. And so through the process of elimination, ended up with restoration.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, you're definitely helping people. That's for
Yes.
darn sure. So as a realtor, I have clients who have had on occasion water issues. As a homeowner, multiple homes, and a parent, I run into water situations. Nothing more serious in my situation than maybe an overflowing tub or a toilet or something of that nature, which, you mop it up, problem solved, right? But some of my clients have had more serious issues, and you were involved in one of those. But before I get into that story right there, what ultimately is the danger that somebody as a homeowner should be concerned with when it comes to moisture?
When it comes to moisture, if it's left for certain amounts of time, and there's no predetermined amount of time. It could be 3 days, it could be a month. But you always run the risk, if you don't have water damage mitigated, of that water turning into mold damage. It could start dry rotting materials like framing, and then you have much bigger issues than just simply having to pull out some drywall and some flooring. Then it could lead to having the outside of your house taken apart, having a giant hole in the side of your house, and some other serious issues.
Well, earlier we were talking about the client that we have in common, and they reached out to me and said, Dave, do you know anybody? And I said, I certainly do. And we put them in touch with you. But what I thought was interesting about that story was that the dishwasher where the leak came from was located in an island. The issue was over in a pantry, which was several feet away from the island. And I thought that was fascinating how devious the moisture can be.
Yeah, I've said to many of our customers, it's amazing how one of the most important things in our life, that being water, can be one of the most damaging. Water will always travel, the path of least resistance. Water will always travel underneath flooring if it can. And when it does, if you don't know about that water, you can walk all over that floor and you just spread the water everywhere.
And is there a health hazard associated with that, or what's the ultimate danger?
Again, it comes back to the possibility that mold can start growing, especially in areas where the water is not detected. You don't see any of the obvious signs, and it could just kind of percolate underneath that floor if it has the right environment.
I was asked to go investigate a house that one of my investors was interested in, a 3-story townhome. And the reason why it was priced so low was because of water damage. And then up in the attic, they'd had a burst water tank, and the water cascaded down through the ceilings, floor to floor to basement. And as I'm walking down the basement, it is black mold on the walls. And I made myself very skinny, tried not to breathe going through that, but it was very, very scary from my standpoint. I will never forget how stark that issue was, but that's the most extreme water damage I have seen. But there are other sources of water damage, as floods, broken pipes, tanks, toilets, tubs. In this case, in our client's case, a dishwasher line had burst.
Yep.
So the ultimate damage could be mold, seen or unseen. And I think the only thing that I recall from that incident was that they smelled something odd in their pantry. And that was the only telltale sign that they had. And then you guys dug at it a little bit and discovered it was more extensive than that. I thought that was interesting.
Yep.
So what about insurance companies? Should a homeowner rely on an insurance company to refer them to somebody like yourself to remediate the damage? I mean, what's the pluses and minuses of calling the insurance company and saying I've got a water damage?
Well, what we encourage people to do is, they have called us, and after we get all their pertinent information, we ask them flat out, have you notified your insurance company? Some say yes, some say no. And we encourage people not to contact their insurance company yet, so that we can come out and take a look at the damage and see, how close we can stay to their deductible. 99% of the people of our customers, their homeowners insurance deductible is $1,000. So we get out there, we can quickly survey the situation, and we're like, yep, this is going to be, well over your deductible of $1,000. So yes, please contact your insurance company, explain the situation to them, and they will issue you a claim number. All right. And that's very important for documentation's sake. They will also at that time try to schedule an insurance adjuster to come out and survey the damage. In emergency water mitigation, things like that, to where, a broken pipe, appliance malfunction, whatever, you do not have to wait for the adjuster to get out to your house. We can get started immediately because homeowners have a legal obligation, and it's right there in your insurance contract, that they have to make every effort to minimize the damage to their property also. So in a situation like that, we can get started immediately. Our objective is to first survey how extensive the damage is, where it's gone. At that point, we start to reverse the process. We set up drying chambers, equipment, fans, air movers, things of that nature, dehumidifiers, and we can, turn the tide against the water intrusion. So, like I say, a common misconception is that people say, well, I got to wait for an adjuster. Not in an emergency water loss. You do not.
So when somebody's facing the fear of, is it covered or not covered, how is a homeowner going to know what's covered or not covered?
Well, what we encourage them to do is to contact their local insurance agent and say, and make crystal clear to them, I am not filing a claim. I'm simply asking a question. And, they explain to the, their insurance agency, this is the situation, this is what happened. Will this be covered under my homeowner's insurance? They'll say yes, they'll say no. And that's how we encourage people to do. There are some people that, they strictly have online insurance coverage, no local agency or anything like that. Again, we encourage them to contact them, but to simply ask the question, make crystal clear, I'm not filing a claim, I'm asking a question.
It takes me to a story with my kids where they bought a car online and they got their insurance online and got into an accident shortly thereafter. Not the driver's fault, my son-in-law's fault, but come to find out he didn't have collision insurance, which the dealer is responsible for, and the DMV is responsible for ensuring that it's in place. But because a mistake was made, boom, he was not covered. And we went back to his prior broker who fixed it, made it right because it was an obvious mistake. My moral of that story, as a dad would say, is deal with somebody in person, deal with somebody versus deal with somebody online. It's more personal service, and when you need it, you need it. You never know when that's going to occur. And same with you guys. You guys are, by virtue of this podcast, people will get a chance to know you a little bit better, and have a higher level of trust and confidence that you can do a good job. I know in my experience with my clients, you guys did a fabulous job, and that client we talked about speaks wonders about you. He didn't have enough good things to say. So I appreciate that as somebody who has the mutual client there.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, yeah, it's the human touch, the human presence that means everything to people, especially in a very highly volatile, emotional situation, like somebody has damage inside their home, and it's our job to come in there and, take control of the situation, be reassuring to the homeowner, business owner, whatever the case may be, that, we're going to get your house back. It's going to take a little bit. And from time to time, it might get a little noisy, but we'll get it back for you.
So bottom line, you're a homeowner, you've got a dishwasher that's leaking. Who do you call first?
So I would recommend that people call Stop Restoration Charlotte North. Like I say, let us get out there, take a look at it, and then we can advise you. And we work with you for you, not the insurance company. We help our clients a lot with filing the insurance claims, working through the adjuster process. So yes, call us first, let us get out there, take a look at it, survey the damage, and then we can make a determination if this is indeed, a project that's going to go beyond your homeowner's deductible.
Excellent. And how might somebody get a hold of you?
You can call us 24/7, 365 at 704-309-7258.
And we will put your contact information for both of you at the end of this podcast. So if you're watching this, please look for the end and you'll have the contact information for both John and for Dave. Guys, I thank you for participating today. I think this is really helpful, and I hope if you're listening, this was helpful to you. It's a unique situation, but one that you want to be aware of if you are going to stay in that home. That's part of home ownership. It's about knowing who to call at the right time. And if you like this podcast, if you have suggestions for other topics that you would like to hear, there's going to be a link at the end of this podcast. Just go to that. And you can rate us. Let us know whether you liked it. Give us a 5 if you would, and any other comments. We would love to hear from you, guys. Thank you, John. Thank you, Dave. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for tuning in to the Carolina Senior Talk podcast. We hope you found today's episode both informative and helpful. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. If you enjoyed today's show, please leave us a review and share it with those who might benefit from our advice. If you or anyone you know is looking to buy, sell, or relocate to the Carolinas, or you simply want to know how much equity you have in your home, be sure to contact me at www.carolinaseniortalk.com. Until next time, we wish you the best on your senior living journey in the Carolinas. Take care. Thank you for listening once again, and talk to you soon.